the first few problems on this quiz, you have to be able to find your vertex. Remember the formula we used. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. Okay, that's something you need to know. So when I got my quiz, I would probably write that down at the top of it to remember. So write it down right now. X equals opposite of b over 2a. Remember, in a quadratic, a is the number in front of x squared. So if it's a negative x squared, my a is negative 1. B is the number in front of x. So my b is 8. So if I want to do the opposite of b, so the opposite of 8 is negative 8, over 2 times negative 1, 2 times a. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 is 4. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 4. You have to put the x equals with it. The vertex is an ordered pair. You already have the x. How do we get the y? Plug it in. So everybody, pick up your calculator. You have a negative 4 squared plus 8 times 4 minus 4. What do you get? What did you guys get when you plugged it in? 12. Okay, if anybody didn't get 12 and needs me to check their calculator right now, raise your hand. Happy to come around and look at those. Okay. So on number 2, what is my a value? 4. A is the number in front of x squared. B is the number in front of x. If there is no x, what is my b? 0. So now we're doing the opposite of b over 2a. So the opposite of 0 is 0 over 2 times 4. So we get 0 over 8, which is 0. So axis of symmetry is x equals 0. That is the first part of the vertex. To get y, we plug 0 in. So you have 4 times 0 squared plus 7. And we get 7. All right, so first 2 questions on your quiz are going to be just like these 2 questions. All I'm going to do is ask for vertex and axis of symmetry. So axis of symmetry, x equals opposite of b over 2a. Get your vertex, you plug that back in. Any other questions there? All right, then I'm going to ask you to graph one like this. So to graph these, we're going to start off the same way. We have to find the vertex. How do we do that? You guys are clearly doing it. What did you do? Nicole, how do we find that vertex? What's my A on this one, Noah? 1. Okay. Caden, what's my B?
2.
Good. And since it is minus 6, let's go ahead and make it negative 6. So, opposite of B. The opposite of negative 6 is positive 6 over 2 times A. right, so then we have 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So on my axis of symmetry, we write x equals 3, and that is the middle box in my table. And then we're going to plug in numbers smaller and bigger. All right. So I want U3, plug in 1. U3, plug in 2. U3, plug in 3. U2, plug in 4. And U3 back here, plug in 5. So everybody plug in your number. And let's finish our table. All right, when you put in 1, what'd you get? Okay. My 2's, what'd you get? Was it, yeah, positive or negative? Should be. Was it positive 3? Okay. 3's, what'd you guys get?
Was I 3?
Yeah.
-4.
My 4's, what'd you guys get? Esther, what'd you get with 4? Yeah, I think the 2 should have gotten a -3 as well. My 5's, when you plug that in, what'd you guys get? Should have gotten a 0. If you guys don't want to participate, I can stop right now. So we have 1, 0, 2, -3, 3, -4, 4, -3, and 5, 0. So your vertex we have is the 3, -4. The domain is always all real numbers, so you can make the symbol or you can just write it out. The range, since it opened up, its y is greater than or equal to the y value of your vertex, so the -4. All right. Then, so on your quiz, you will have a couple where you're just doing the vertex axis symmetry, one where you're graphing using all that. The opposite would be over 2a to get your information. Then we talked about transformations. So I'm going to give you one of those and ask you to graph it. Remember, to find the x on those, you just take that parenthesis and set it equal to 0. So then you get x to be -3. That is the y value of the vertex. That is the axis of symmetry. X equals -3. You can find your y either by looking at your graph, so it's going down 4, so it's a -4, or you can always just use your calculator and plug in your x. You'll get the same thing. Then you need things bigger and smaller. All right. When I plug in a -5, I get -2. When I plug in -4, we are going to get a decimal. That is fine. I get -3.5. When I plug in -2, we get -3.5. When I plug in -1, we get -2. So to graph these, my x is -5. So we go backwards 5. The y is -2, so down 2. -4, so you go backwards 4, down 3.5. -3, so if you go backwards 3, you go down 4. -2, -3.5. -1, -2. So it's not a big deal if you get decimals in there. It can happen. My vertex, we found it's that middle point, the -3, -4. Domain is always all real numbers, or write it out, one or the other. The range, since it's opening up, y is greater than or equal to the y value of my vertex, which was -4. Are there any questions about the graphs on these? Okay, second thing, I want everybody to flip this paper over and pay close attention here. We have to be able to describe our transformations. So, on this, there's several things to remember, but one of the tricks I gave you was if you add to x, you go to the left. If you add to the y, the graph goes higher. Okay, add to x, go left, add to y, go high. Is everybody paying attention right now? I want to see eyes, so I know you're with me. You have to be able to look at these equations and tell me what your transformations are. So, we need to look. If it's added or subtracted on the end, that will move the graph up or down. If it's added or subtracted in our parentheses, that's moving left or right. When we multiply by something, that is stretching and shrinking our graph. So when I look at this one, what does the negative in front tell me? It will flip. Kale, you with me? Negatives flip. What does a multiplying by 3 do? Stretch. Good. Okay, the -1. If it's with x, it moves left or right. If you add to x, it goes to the left, so subtracting from x would move it right 1. And the final thing, +5. If you add to the y, it goes higher, so that +5 would move it up 5. Okay, I want you guys to take a minute and see if you can write down the transformations on question 6, and then we'll check you. So this time, there's not a negative, so it doesn't flip. Multiplying by a number will either stretch or shrink. How do you know which is which? Would this one stretch or shrink? Shrink. It's if this number is bigger than 1 or not. So if you do 2/7, that's smaller than 1, so this one will shrink. Okay, I added 4 to my x. If you add to the x, you go to the left. So left 4. This -3 on the end would take my graph down 3. Okay, the final ones. I'm telling you, use the equation y equals x squared and write your new equation. If you go up and down, if we look up here, the up and down, use these equations to help you. That was tacked on to the end. So if I'm going to go up 8, it's just x squared, and we put a +8 on the end. Okay, look at 5 and 6. If I wanted to move left or right, it was inside my parenthesis. So if I want to go 9 to the left, add to x, you go left, so we have to have an x + 9 in parentheses, then we have our square, just like these equations up here. Down 2 would put what on the end? -2. All right, number 9, reflected over the x. That's the same thing as saying a flip. So what makes it flip? Negative. If I'm going to move right, left and right are with my x. So left, add to x, it moves left. So if we subtract, it would move to the right. So we have a negative out in front, and then that x - 7 squared. And the final one, vertically stretch by 4. Look at 5 and 6. What made something stretch or shrink? Okay, if it was bigger than 1, then we are multiplying by it. So to stretch by 4, we're taking it times 4. I'm going 3 to the left. So that means you have to have x + 3 squared. And looks like I left off something. Just scratch out that and there. So 4 times x plus 3 squared.